Hello YouTube, Dave here again. The month of June is just about over. The year's almost halfway done, which is crazy to think about. But I just wanted to do a quick update video, show some of the things that I've picked up for the month of June. I did a pickup video, I think, in May and possibly April, if I recall correctly. So I just wanted to show off some of the things that I've picked up. I don't normally buy a lot of things for myself, but lately I've had a little bit of extra money, which has been kind of nice. So I picked up a few things, and I thought I would just show what I picked up. So let's start here. The video game, Shadow of Mordor, Lord of the Rings. And I have to admit, I had pretty low expectations on this one. Actually, when it first came out, I had picked up Lord of the Rings War of the North from Future Shop quite a while ago, and it was on sale for like $12 or something like that. And the War of the North was just this basic linear, follow the path, hack and slash action RPG, where everything about it was, you missed meeting up with characters from the main Lord of the Rings story by like this much. Like, you just missed them, or they were here and now they're gone, or, they will be here, but we need to send you off on this other mission here in the meantime. And I just really didn't care for that. So when this one was announced, I really didn't have any expectations for it. But I was in Walmart. They had for, I think it was like $27 or something like that, which is pretty good considering it was $70, I think, on launch. Again, Canadian prices. So I picked it up and popped it in, and I have to admit this game is quite a bit of fun. You can spend just hours going around slaughtering orcs, doing missions, going on hunts, stuff like that. There's this really interesting mechanic where there's these orc warlords and generals and stuff like that, and you can go around and you fight them, and if you defeat them, then others will rise and take their place. There are times that they fight amongst themselves, and you can kind of interject and help one or the other, or kill both, which is pretty cool. There's power struggles between them, so there are times that they'll just fight amongst themselves and kill one another off. But it's a really cool system. If you get defeated by even a common orc, they get promoted and they rise through the ranks, and they get more powerful, they attract more followers, and if they keep killing you, they can be pretty hard to fight. So the basic objective, you want to go around, interrogate other orcs, peer into their minds using the power of this wraith spirit, and learn intel, basically learn what some of the weaknesses are. So there's a lot of strategy to it. There's a lot of just pure action moments that you can do. The story is actually quite good. If you've been on the fence about this, I actually highly recommend it. The only issues that I've really had so far, and I think that may just be part of the 360 and PlayStation 3, I'm not sure. But on the 360 for sure, there's a lot of loading times in this game. There's missions that you'll start, and there's supposed to be these cutscenes that play. And there's this black loading screen for 5 to 10 seconds. And you get like 2-3 seconds of footage, of a video clip, and then it goes to, another 5 to 10 second loading screen, and this happens quite often. In fact, even just pressing the start menu and going back into the game, there's a loading screen. And that's after running the install disk. So a lot of loading time. You have to be kind of patient, but when you get to play, it's worth it. I absolutely love this game. One of the next things I picked up was a DVD, wrestling DVD. It's a Bryan one. Just say yes, yes, yes for anyone who watches wrestling. That's kind of his catchphrase type of thing. The basic idea of the DVD set is it's a documentary, which shows the lead up to WrestleMania 30, where he won the WWE Championship, and it does go over some of his early career and some of the highlights of his career. There's a lot of things that are left out, unfortunately. The DVD definitely could have been a lot longer as far as the documentary goes. The first disc is just the documentary, and then the other two are basically a series of matches. And there may be little clips in between, just kind of setting up before what the match is. I would have liked to seen a bit more of a comprehensive look at his career, like a 3-hour documentary like they used to make, but this is still pretty cool. It's mostly like a video diary type of thing. So there's interviews with Bryan and Brie Bella, as well as a few other people. I was surprised that there was no interviews with Triple H or Stephanie McMahon, since they played such a big part of the build-up. The only thing watching this, it's almost kind of sad because as he's leading up to WrestleMania, one of the things he talks about is how he's glad that he hasn't had a lot of injury issues. And of course, if you follow it, you know that basically a couple months after he won the championship at WrestleMania 30, he had to forfeit it due to a neck injury that it required surgery. He came back, WrestleMania 31, he won the Intercontinental Championship. It was this big moment where, you know, they were looking to bring back a lot of importance to those secondary titles. And again, a couple of months later, he had to relinquish it because he suffered a concussion less than a week after WrestleMania 31. So two pretty bad injuries, you know, year after year. So it's unfortunate, but if you're a fan of wrestling, if you're a fan of Daniel Bryan, you should pick this up. The DVD does a good job of showing that, you know, he's pretty much a down-to-earth and humble guy, and it's just, it's an awesome documentary. I do like it. I just would have liked to have seen more of how his career kind of got to where it was, but still, highly recommended. Alright, the next thing was actually given to me by one of my closest friends. A buddy of his was at a yard sale or a flea market, I can't remember, it was one or the other, and picked this up for $2. Gave it to my friend, who I think thought I would make more use out of it, and he was probably right. It's a box set, Forgotten Realms, City System. So this is actually for the city of Waterdeep, and it's an awesome, absolutely awesome box set. The only issue that I really have with it is there's this sticker here, which I tried peeling off, but it starts to tear up the box itself. So for now, until I can find something else to get it off there, it's going to stay. The sides were all taped up, but it's still in pretty decent shape, considering that this came out in 1988. So it's been around for a while. But inside, it actually even still has the ad for the RPGA, you know, like buying memberships and stuff like that. It's really just, I mean, I'm pretty stoked to even have this in it because it's just, you know, usually don't find these in like the box sets. It's got a booklet here which has, you know, a description of the city, a brief timeline, some information about it, some of the buildings, and even a picking pockets chart, which is pretty cool. And inside is just basically a whole bunch of maps of the city, sections of the city. I think there's about 11 or 12 maps in it all together, and it's just an absolutely amazing, amazing thing. So I'm absolutely, you know, thrilled to have it, and you know, again, you know, thank you to the person who gave it to me. You know, I really appreciate it. All right, I also picked up a few novels, a couple of them anyway. I picked, this is part of the Sundering series, which was the series of novels that basically transitioned from 4th edition to 5th edition. So it ended the Spell Plague and began the Sundering. I'm currently reading The Reaver, and the stories are all self-contained, so you don't have to necessarily have read the first 4 books to get any enjoyment out of these. I think the overall theme involves the gods not being able to be as directly involved in the affairs of mortals, so, you know, there's more importance placed on their chosen. And that seems to be the recurring theme, at least through the books that I've read so far. I'm sure that these will be no different, but the first one here, this is book 5 and 6, the series. I bought the first 4 as they came out, and went through a period where I just didn't really have a lot of time to read. So I kind of stopped buying these books as they came out. And I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and they're getting a little harder to find. So I was at a Kohl's bookstore in one of the town that I grew up in when I was visiting there a few weeks ago, and they had them there, so I picked them both up. So it's Troy Denning's The Sentinel and Ed Greenwood's The Herald. So The Herald is book 6. I'm really looking forward to reading these. I'm about halfway through The Reaver, so once I finish that up, I'll be getting on to these. Alright, up next is another gift, actually, that was given to me for Father's Day. It's an addition to my my Ninja Turtles collection of figures. So this is the Mutations Shredder. And the Mutations line is actually pretty cool. I don't recall them having anything like this when I was a kid, like in the late 80s, early 90s. I know they've recycled a lot of ideas, like they have the mutating turtles that go from the Ninja Turtles to the baby turtles, but and they had those when I was a kid too. But this one here, I don't quite remember. It's a series where you've got like all the figures here, but their parts are removable, intentionally removable. Not, you know, oh crap, it's broken now that I pulled it off, but it's and it shows it actually well in the packaging itself. So you see here, Shredder's leg is off. Right, showing that it's okay that these things are meant to come apart. And they also have the wrong arm on, so he's got one of the turtle's arms. And of course they did give him the actual arm here, which I do appreciate. I'm sure there was a temptation to not have that and make it so that you basically had to buy the whole series in order to get all the figures properly. So they stayed away from that, which is great. But it's just really cool. I don't have any of the Shredders from like the newer series. The only one I have is like the retro one when they did the re-release there. So this is really cool. My fiance got it for me for Father's Day, and it was just really awesome. Absolutely love it. I also picked up a couple figures on my own, and they had these on sale at Walmart. So I already have the Leonardo version. So these are the original comic book versions of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They only had these remaining two, and they never, when I picked up the Leonardo one, they only had the 3 of the 4. So but I picked them up. So I've got Donatello here and Michelangelo. So I picked these 2 up. They were on sale for, you know, a couple dollars off, so they were only like $7 or $8 instead of 10 or 11. I would like to find a Raphael, but I'm not as big a completionist when it comes to my figure collection. I really don't want to spend any more than like $12 on a figure, so unless I can find it at a store for a regular price, I probably won't go out and get them. But basically, you know, it's the old red bandanas based off the original cartoon or comic book series. Sorry, you see they still have like their tails. The bodies are actually the same, so they share the bodies from turtle to turtle. Which includes like the little markings here, which I guess is made to kind of look like it's the comic book shading type thing. But their head sculpts are different and their weapons are different. So, you know, I picked these up. I've got 3 out of the 4, so that's not too bad. Okay, and lastly, just going to go over some of the role-playing books that I bought. And I didn't get a whole lot. I mean, there's obviously, if you follow D&D, Wizards isn't really putting out much. The last book that they released was Prince of the Apocalypse, and I already did a video on that. But I had a little bit of extra money. I even had some money on my online Kohl's account. So I decided to pick up some stuff that was still available, that's been out for a little while. So I'm going to start with Against the Slave Lords. A series of adventures from the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons first edition days. And it's really awesome. This was a series of adventures. They were all connected together. Slave Pits of the Undercity, Secrets of the Slaver Stockade, Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords, and In the Dungeons of the Slave Lords, which I guess were classic modules back in the day. They also included in this adventure booklet, they actually included a brand new module designed for like the first edition rules, but they say it's playable with D&D Next, which was 5th edition. This was before 5th edition actually came out, so this was kind of in the gap between 4th edition and when they finally released 5th edition. But it's an introductory module that kind of sets the stage for A1, so they call it AO, Danger at Dark Shelf Quarry. So this ended up costing me about $27, I think it was. So it was really cool to pick this up. Now this here is just actually a paper thing that I had on the back to show what the adventures were. And it has all the original artwork and stuff on the inside, the black and white. The only thing that I kind of would have liked to have seen was like cover pages where they have, you know, full color separating the adventures, where they have like the the front cover here at the start of the adventure, and maybe, on the last page they'll have like the back cover and then the front cover of the next one. So it would have been nice to have seen like full size, versions of these. Definitely going to keep this as well though. As a collector, I try to keep as many of these things as I can. But it's just really cool. I'm actually looking forward to running these for like a 5th edition game. So that might be something that I will do in the future. Since I picked that up, it would be remiss of me not to pick up Dungeons of Dread, which is a similar thing. It's a reprinting of some pretty classic modules from back in the day. So it was the S series of adventures. S1, The Tomb of Horrors, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. S2, White Plume Mountain. S3, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which introduces us to one of the greatest monsters of all time, the Froghemoth. And S4, The Lost Caverns of, I'm going to say Sawcanth. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I've never actually heard it said out loud. But it's just the reprinting of the adventures. Again, this is just a paper thing they had. These were shrink wrapped originally. And you can see the retail price is 47 Canadian. This one was the one that I actually used my remaining credit online with. So at the end of the day, it only cost me, I think, like $17. So really cool. I'm glad to have these. It kind of completes my 1st edition collection as much as I really care to get for it. So glad to have these. If I was going to buy one, I kind of had to get the other. So now the last thing that I picked up is something that I've already had for a while, but I ended up picking up another 5th edition Player's Handbook. And if you've seen my earlier videos, you know that I already have 2 of them. So the reason that I had 2 initially is I realized that not a lot of people were going to end up buying the 5th edition books. When I run here locally, the players that I have in my group have never played D&D before. Like their first times playing Dungeons and Dragons was with me, and I can't really expect them to have go out and buy their own players handbooks, especially where they're around $60 Canadian. So I had picked up 2. The expectation was that one was going to be for players, and I chose to have this one for the players because it came with this here. A little bit of damage on it, but other than that, not too bad. It easily identified it as a player's one, so I was totally okay with that. And this is one that the players would kind of pass around. The other one I picked up was supposed to be the Dungeon Master's copy only, and I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera, but if you can see it, I went to game with some of my old friends there, my old gaming group, and when I came back, the bottom of the cover here was actually scratched up kind of bad. So it made me feel a little sad inside because I take pride in the condition of my books. So I was like, well, you know what? Since everybody that I play with around here locally doesn't have a copy, and even when I go to play with my old gaming group every once in a while when I get the chance, only one person there has a player's handbook. So now, if I go, I've got 2 traveling copies that I can take with me, and I've got my brand new pristine one that is never going to leave the house. So it's just a weird gamer thing, I guess. I admit that I'm very particular about the condition of my books, so this is one, like I said, it'll probably never ever step outside of this house, and I'll probably barely even take it outside of this particular room. But anyway, I just wanted to show those off. Just again, just a little update at the end of the month. Show the things I picked up. I don't expect I'll have one at the end of July, just because I don't expect to be buying a lot of stuff in July. But once I have enough things to kind of do a video around, I'll certainly do that again. And I apologize. This video again went kind of long for what I was expecting, so I'm just going to wrap it up now. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and all of your great comments and all of your support. I appreciate it all, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much, YouTube.